Welcome to Think Tank. It's the podcast. I'm Steve Adubato. Now joining me in the East Main Media Studio is Lauren Gary, who is the senior producer of Think Tank, the podcast. And in just a minute, we'll be listening to Sam Brinton from an interview that we did with Sam. A very compelling interview on Think Tank, the podcast. Tell folks how they can find us, Lauren.
Sure, Steve. So to hear more Think Tank podcasts, subscribe on Apple iTunes or Google Play, or visit our website at steveadubato.org. That's Adubato. You can also follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato and on Facebook at Steve Adubato, PhD, to keep up with all the great things we're up to.
Thanks, Lauren. Lauren, set this up with Sam. We interviewed Sam, I believe, at our WNET Tisch studio in New York. We sat down with Sam as head of Advocacy and Government Affairs for the Trevor Project. Set up exactly what the Trevor Project is.
Sure. So the Trevor Project is a national organization that provides crisis intervention services to the LGBTQ youth, people under 25. So they have a 24/7 crisis Trevor lifeline.
By the way, do us a favor, tell folks what that hotline is, because as they're listening to Sam, they may need some help.
Of course. So crisis intervention line is for any of these LGBTQ plus youth who have perhaps suicidal thoughts or need help and just are struggling with perhaps finding their identity, maybe facing a lot of bullying or negativity from others and need someone to talk to.
They just need help.
So they can call that Trevor Lifeline for the help they need.
Got it. And what's interesting about Sam, let's make this clear. Sam faced, as a kid, his parents thought that Sam was gay. And so conversion therapy, people hear the term, but they're like, what? He went through what? And Sam describes what Sam experienced, which was horrific. Conversion therapy is?
Conversion therapy is any of several dangerous practices or discredited practices, and they're aimed at changing an individual's sexual orientation or gender identity. So when Sam's parents found out he was gay, they put him into conversion therapy and tried to change how he saw or identified himself as.
Let's clarify that. So Sam, it's gender fluid.
Yes. Sam is gender fluid and identifies with the pronouns they, them, or theirs.
Well, you know, that's interesting because when I was interviewing Sam, I had to be very conscious of that. And just like you're very aware of it, but in conversation, we can slip. And it's about being more sensitive and aware, but it's way more important than simply the words we use, which is part of it. But Sam, in this Think Tank, the podcast conversation, you will hear him talk about the experiences that Sam had and also how they're trying to change laws in 50 states to protect the LGBTQ youth from conversion therapy in every state in the nation. This conversion therapy thing, I mean, it sounds innocuous. It ain't. It's real. And for people who think, you know, you're gay and that's a choice you made, so we can turn that around so you can have a better life. No. Sam says that's not what it is. That's the way Sam was born. That's the way others were born. And conversion therapy is dangerous. And Sam believes that it's a practice that needs to be stopped across this country. And that is why Think Tank, the podcast, took it on, right?
That's exactly right, yes.
So check out Sam Brinton, who is the head of Government Affairs and Advocacy at the Trevor Project. This is Think Tank, the podcast. Check it out. We're pleased to welcome Sam Brinton, who is head of Advocacy and Government Affairs, the Trevor Project. Good to see you, Sam.
Thank you for having me.
Describe the Trevor Project.
The Trevor Project. So we are the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention program for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth, so commonly called LGBTQ youth. We operate a lifeline that operates 24/7 so that when youth are in crisis or feeling alone, they can have someone to talk to.
How'd you get into this?
I am a nuclear physicist by training, went to MIT, did nuclear physics, was disarming nuclear bombs for a living, and by night I worked as an advocate for LGBTQ youth. I was trying to stop the horrible practice of conversion therapy, which I'd been through as a youth, and I got the call from Trevor, hey, wanna switch it up? And I did. I got to move over and get to work on LGBTQ issues full time, which is the dream. Getting to come into an organization that I called as a kid and actually save more lives is just truly wonderful.
You know, The term conversion therapy is thrown around a lot.
It is.
Boy Erase gets a lot of attention. We're doing this at the end of 2018, and it'll be seen after that.
Yeah.
Describe for folks who may not understand what it means.
Yeah, so conversion therapy can cover a lot of different things.
Describe your experience.
Sure. My experience got into what is called aversion therapy. So aversion therapy tries to make you have a negative feeling or a negative reaction to an image or a thought so that you won't do that again. So kind of like, remember when people were trying to quit smoking, they would snap rubber bands on their wrist, and that little bit of pain would be like, oh, don't want to smoke. Mine was that, but just a million times worse. I was tied to a table with ice placed on my hands while images of men holding hands would be shown. Then wires were wrapped around my hands and the heat would be turned on when images of men touching men were shown, and turned off when images of men touching women were shown. And finally it moved all the way up in through electroshock. So pornography played while I was shocked with electricity, trying to turn me into a straight person.
You couldn't get out.
I couldn't. I was an 11-year-old child. There's so many memories of screaming for my parents to make it stop, but in actuality, they were doing what they were doing because they loved me so much that they thought they were saving their child. The government, a nation, had told them that this was a viable option to save their child, and we know it's not. Every major medical organization has said this is not appropriate, this is harming children. We've now, in the last few years, stopped 14 states from even allowing it to be practiced on minors, but that means 36 states still do allow it.
36 states still practice legally conversion therapy.
Yes.
So what's the campaign? All 50 states trying to do what?
Every state. So 50 bills, 50 states was the idea.
50 bills, 50 states. By the way, let's make sure we put up the website so people can find out more about the Trevor Project. Go ahead, Sam, sorry.
Exactly. So 50 bills, 50 states is this idea that the kid in Kansas matters just as much as the kid in New York. And both New York and Kansas do not have these protections for LGBTQ youth. That's the work we're having to do, making sure that the legislation is submitted in every single state, or the conversation is started in every single state, so that a parent has to decide to put their child into conversion therapy when the state is making it up for debate. That's my whole point. Let's make sure that the nation recognizes that this is still happening, and we have a lot to do to make it stop.
You know, Sam, as I'm thinking about this, there are parents watching us in the tri-state area and beyond, checking us out, digital platforms, et cetera, et cetera. What is your message? What message would you want to deliver to parents right now who, quote unquote, love their child in the same way your parents loved you and want to do the right thing for their child as it relates to conversion therapy? What would be the message you want to send to them right now?
Parents love their children and want them to grow up to be healthy and happy. Conversion therapy destroys that possibility. These psychological and emotional scars that I have from conversion therapy have devastated my work, devastated my life. And so I would want a parent to know, you do not have to agree with everything that your child says. That's not a requirement. But you do have to understand that your child is beautiful just the way they are, and that this is a natural part of their lives. That's, I think, the biggest part. We know the doctors are saying this is natural. We know doctors are saying that this isn't working, and all we're doing is harming. Why would we put that risk on children?
And the effects, long-term, potentially lifetime.
They are. To be quite frank, every single time that when I shake your hand, I get a little bit of a prick of the electricity still, because my brain was so young that it associates that touch. I'm getting married next month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But within the first few kisses, I was puking. The pain was so bad. That's gonna hold with me for a really long time. And that's okay. I think it's just gonna take time.
Are more and more U.S. corporations, we happen to know that our friends at United told us about you.
Yeah.
Are more and more corporations, I don't want to say being sensitive, I don't know what that means, just getting it, understanding?
They are. They are. I'm so astounded by organizations like United and others who not only give financial support to make sure that we can continue our life-saving work at Trevor Project.
They support the Trevor Project.
They support the Trevor Project.
Right.
And let's be clear, the Trevor Project is serving between 70 and 100,000 youth every year. We're at the highest rates we've ever seen. And so we have organizations who are financially supporting that, but also supporting us with their time. They're volunteering. Organizations like United are saying, we not only will put our money where our mouth is, we'll put our time where our mouth is. And that's really important to me, that we need volunteers. We can't do this alone. We need help.
Speaking of help, what role could and should we in the media play, not just in public broadcasting, but in the media?
Yeah.
Mainstream media, whatever the heck that means, to be supportive and helpful.
We need to have conversations about the difficult topics like suicide. We don't. 47,000 individuals just died of suicide in 2017. It's the highest rate that, again, it's ever been. We're not having a conversation because I think the media is worried that if we talk about suicide, it will put the idea in people's minds.
And you say?
It's not. It's not true. If you tell
Talking
someone
about it
does not make it happen. Don't give us the gory details of exactly how it plays out, but talk about the need to talk to someone, that you're never alone. The ideas that we spread have to be one of hope and resilience. We're working with everyone. We're getting calls at the Trevor Project from 7- and 8-year-olds, right? So I'm going to keep working to make sure that they know that they're not alone. And I think the media can help them understand that there's always someone to call. There's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's the Trevor Project. There's a variety of services that can always happen. We do digital. You don't ever, as a millennial, I can't stand talking on the phone. And so we can text and chat. We can text and chat so that way you never have to listen to a voice. You can just be served where you are, how you are.
Well, Sam, you just helped a lot of people.
Thank you.
Right now. And hopefully we not just provided this platform, but we'll continue to do that. But thank you, Sam.
I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. All the best.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by United Airlines, Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, New Jersey Sharing Network, Wells Fargo, and by ADP. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.